Hey, my name is Dave Handwork. I'm the Chief of the Economic Formulation Section here in Planning at the Corps of Engineers Chicago. And with me is Kira Baltatis, one of our planners and one of our FPMS leads. We go next. So this is our agenda for today. We've just kind of give an overview of the floodplain management services program, the type of services, just give a few examples of some of our current studies, and then talk through some of the details about this current proposal cycle. And then at the very end, I'll touch on a few other programs that the Corps of Engineers has, the Planning Assistance to States and Tribes, as well as our Continuing Authorities program. And next.
All right, thanks, Dave. Hi, everyone. My name is Kira. Like Dave said, I'm a community planner with the Chicago District. I'm going to be giving a brief introduction of the program for those of you who aren't familiar with our floodplain management services, or FPMS as we'll be referring to it. I will explain the genesis of it and how the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has structured it to work with communities. So starting with the 1960s, there's an authorization by Section 206 of the Flood Control Act, which birthed this program and really provided the authority for the Army Corps to provide this full range of flood risk information, technical services, and some planning guidance to support and promote effective flood risk and floodplain management. We do require that these studies are flood risk related. So while there are ample water resource issues throughout the district, as you know, this program is really addressing flood risk only. And these studies are just that. They are studies, or what you refer to as a bit of kind of scoping element. It's analyzing the flooding issues, it's gathering data, we coordinate with other agencies, and we propose some alternatives or ideas to address the flooding. It does not result in construction, so just to be aware of that. Although there are programs both throughout the Corps as well as other agencies and various grant programs that can really use this information and plans developed in the study to implement a project. We usually like to wrap up the studies in about 12 months, but it can extend up to 2 years or 24 months if needed. And you just want to keep in mind this is a competitive program. So as we review your applications, we'll really be looking at the feasibility of doing the study, the need for it, and the cost. So as far as the types of services that FPMS offers, there are typically about 3 buckets that those services fall into. The first is the general services we offer, which can include flood and floodplain data that we either obtain and analyze. And this can also include some community outreach and engagement work, as the education awareness component is often a really important part of flood risk management. And so that second bucket or category is general planning guidance. This includes actual floodplain planning. So once we have that data, we'll work with you to develop a plan on what to do with that data and how to mitigate those flood risks or develop alert systems. And finally, we develop guides, pamphlets, and supporting studies. So as you can see on the right, you can go through a list of some common products that we offer. I won't run through kind of those full list of bullet points, but we'll be posting these slides later online, and you'll get them through your email on our FPMS site in a few weeks, and you can also see a full list on the site itself. So we just have a few examples of studies to get a sense of how we operate in a more granular detail. And it gives you a sense of the full range of services that we've read in the past or ongoing, as you can see. We do across the board with a variety of agencies and entities and municipalities because partnerships really play an important role in FPMS studies. So one of our other planners, Dr. Akila Martin, and I are leading 3 scopes of work addressing flooding issues in the East River watershed of Wisconsin right now. We actually wrapped up a stakeholder workshop for the community preparedness and outreach scope last week. In addition, we're also examining options for a flood warning system and flood storage alternatives in the region. And just as a quick note, there are full reports that we provide to the non-federal sponsor or partner we're working with at the end of the FPMS study that really contains a lot of our research and recommendations for next steps. We also have an ongoing study in Middle Fork addressing structure damage assessments, and that's wrapping up right now. That does include significant collaboration with IDNR and the Illinois State Water Survey. And the intent with this study is really to have these structure-specific flood risk assessments made available through the SAFER website. And last but certainly not least, the Kankakee Yellow River Flood Preparedness Plan is an FPMS study that's in the process of kicking off. And the goal is really to develop a coordinated basin-wide flood preparedness plan. So this is a much larger study because we're coordinating with several counties and agencies or entities, and we're really looking forward to this one. And I want to give you an overview, since there are 2 FPMS cycles to be aware of. You may have listened in and or submitted an application for the other FPMS cycle last summer. These products coming out of both proposal cycles are pretty similar if you're curious about what differentiates the two. The one we're focusing on today is the interagency non-structural proposals. So both FPMS proposal types are competitive. Like I said before, the decisions are made at the division and headquarters level, so we do not make them at the district level. There's an application sample you'll see in a couple of slides. This is a formal template. You just want to be aware of that. And for this cycle, we do require 2 government partners beyond the Army Corps to leverage resources, and those can be monetary or in kind. And as we noted, the projects or studies typically cost around or under 100K. We're asking that you submit your applications to us by March 15th or sooner if possible. The earlier, the better. The March 15th date is really the final date. And for the FPMS base program requests, the application is a bit more simple, and you'd submit a letter to us with a few sentences or a couple of paragraphs describing the issue, but the more detailed, the better. Really works for us. The primary non-federal sponsor must be a government agency. That's true of both FPMS proposal programs. And the base program is 100% federally funded, so no additional resources are required. And we really want to reiterate again and again, this is not a grant program, so you don't receive actual funding from us. The cost is really for the technical services and support we provide from the district level. And the same cost as previously noted, around or under 100K. And the deadline isn't due, the exact date is TBD, but we will circulate that information once we know more. And of course, if you have any questions about either of these proposal cycles, please reach out to Dave and myself anytime. We're happy to talk with you. So some of the points on the slide are some that I listed before, but just to reiterate regarding the proposal details and submitting your applications with all of the necessary documents. So for the FPMS cycle coming up, all proposals must be interagency and must leverage resources invested by others, monetary and kind. You do need to coordinate with anticipated partners, so make sure you're having those conversations ahead of time. The proposals should seek to reduce flood risk through non-structural means. Additional descriptions and tools regarding non-structural programs can be found on the website. We can circulate that afterwards. It's a great website with some tools. Proposals must be entered into the template provided. I'll show you those on the next slide. The timeline averages around 12 to 18 months, and it's estimated around 100K, typically no more than 150K. Those are for much larger studies, so just to be aware of the size of your study and how much that will cost. And the proposal selection criteria will be used to evaluate the proposals. And you can find that selection criteria on page 3 of the call for proposals, which was in the meeting invite and will also recirculate as well. And that's section 3.0. So there will be forms. This is a screenshot or picture of what the application template looks like. And just to note, there are 4 pages. This is just the first. But we're giving you a sense of what you're going to be working with once you start on that application form. And now that you've gotten a sense of the program, you're probably wondering how you can submit an application and apply for a study. What you want to do is submit the template and supporting documentation to myself and Dave, and we are happy to assist in preparation. If you have questions, if you want to talk through anything, you can reach out to Dave and myself and we can schedule a call. The proposals must attach support documentation. So that can be in the form of an email, a letter, optional partner, support template from the partner who will be engaged in a collaborative execution. So just make sure you're having those conversations ahead of time. And a big reminder, the deadline is March 15th, 2023, although earlier coordination is always appreciated. And again, here's our contact information. You'll see it in our emails. You'll see it on the website, but please reach out to us anytime if you have questions. And Dave, I'll hand it off to you now to talk about a couple of our related programs.
So thanks, Kira. So in addition to the FPMS program, we also have two other programs I want to talk about briefly today. One is the Planning Assistance to States and Tribes. This is an ability, other than but it goes a little bit beyond what FPMS does, so it's a little bit broader. It doesn't have to necessarily be flooding related. The FPMS and the PAS programs, neither one of them actually result in federal funding for project design and construction, but they do allow us to start trying to work through some of the issues, water resources related, that communities are finding. PAS also is not a grant just like FPMS. This is funding that comes to the Corps of Engineers to help support our labor to assist communities. The PAS program is a 50-50 cost share, so the non-federal sponsors are responsible for 50% of the cost of the study. That could be in cash to us, or it can be work in kind that you get credited with. So it does have a broader range of services beyond just flood risk management. We can do some water quality stuff. We can do some stormwater management, a little bit of ecosystem restoration type work. So a couple current PAS studies that we have. One is in Lamont, Illinois, where we are doing a study of water quality and stormwater management in that area on the Illinois-Michigan Canal site. Another one that we just started earlier, I guess late last year, was one for the Metropolitan Milwaukee Sewerage District in Wisconsin, where we're looking at a range of options to really improve the ecological function and some flood risk management for a number of concrete line channels that they have in Milwaukee and the surrounding communities. Next, please. And then the other program I want to throw out there is our Continuing Authorities program. So everything that the Corps of Engineers does, we have to have authorization from Congress. Congress has granted through a number of different Water Resources Development Act some standing authorities allow the Corps to study and implement projects. So that includes doing the feasibility study, the environmental compliance, design, and construction. Typically, the feasibility phase is a 50-50 cost share, with the first $100,000 being 100% federal. Once we get into the design and implementation, it's typically a 65-35 cost share, so 65% federal, 35% non-federal. Each of these programs has a total federal cost of limit per project. Typically, it's around $10 million, so you can do some decent-sized projects with this. It is competitive, just like all the other ones, so we get proposals in requesting work for all of these different programs, and we send them up to our division headquarters where they get kind of prioritized against all of the other requests that we get as an agency. So a couple examples. We have one in Lansing and Calumet City where we're doing a levee rehabilitation. That's a Section 205 study to help protect those two communities on the river system. And we just wrapped up one in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, doing some shoreline protection work. So if you have any questions on these, we do have some additional information. If you have any questions, please reach out to Kira or myself, and then we will be happy to work with you on any of those three programs. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to hearing from all of you, and we appreciate any advanced applications prior to March 15. Thank you so much.